So good evening, good evening. There are going to be two videos under both classes. So one is for my morning class this morning. I answered some questions about the worksheets and such. And then I attached the Desmos link from the workbook work on weighted averages. So you could all kind of see how I did that. But I wanted to address tonight some questions on the 4-5 worksheet that have just come up as people are working. So one is, I'm asking you to create a stem and leaf plot, and I'm asking you to use 9 classes. So this is just how I would think about this. These are grades from an exam, and you can never get over 100, and it doesn't look like anybody scored 100. So my suggestion would be to do the, oh, and I already wrote that too big, to do the, to go by tens. So for instance, this is this side, the stems are going to be your tens value and the leaves are going to be your ones. So this would be the 14 that somebody scored. Okay, so this is going to look scrunched. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So plan yours out accordingly because I scrunched mine. Also, somebody asked, well, do I have to have a row for 2 if I don't have any students that scored in the 20s? And that question is yes, because you want to make sure that it's when somebody else views your stem and leaf plot. If I were just to walk up and look at your stem and leaf plot and not have your data there, I want to be able to notice that, oh, there weren't any students that scored in the 20s. So there still needs to be a spot for the 20s in the stem, even though there aren't any leaves to follow with it. Okay. And then here in number 2, make sure you leave space. You're going to need to make a grouped frequency distribution. And I would use the same, basically what you did up here with the stems. I would do my classes. I'm not telling you how many to do, but just leave them in 9 classes. So I would do the 10s, the 20s, the 30s, same thing with your frequency distribution and your histogram. So I need both the frequency distribution and the histogram. I know these are from past lessons, but it all kind of works together. So I just want to make sure you know how to do them. And then with the same data, you're going to find the median, the mean, and both of those you can use the coding from Desmos, and then the mean is this. So remember, if you watch the video, lesson videos on 4-5, then you should see how I did this. The mode and the mid-range you have to calculate by hand with your calculator, okay? Then addressing question number 7, it says, what is the average score for this particular class? And you're going to say, well, I just calculated the mean, that's the average. I want you to go back in your course back to page, let me find it, I should have had it open. Oh, right there it is. No. I think it's maybe 453. Yeah, page 453. At the bottom in the lesson video, I went over how to decide what is your best measure of center. And so depending on if your data, your mean and your median are close to each other, you're going to choose one thing. And if your mean is greater than or particularly less than your median, then you're going to choose the other. And I went through that in the lesson video. So you can ask me, send me questions if you're still stuck. Then on the second page, this is where you need to go into JetNet and get your grades. And so there's been some questions on this. Your participation is basically all of your lesson checks. That's what that grade is. Your online Alex homework, that's up to date, your worksheets. And then project 1, there was only 1 part. Project 2, there was only 1 part. And for project 3, just average, which you know how to do that now. Find the average for the project parts that I've got graded for project 3. And then project 4, what I would do is I would kind of estimate. I would say, how have I been doing on the other projects, and maybe estimate how you're feeling about the material and estimate your grade for project 4. And then your midterm and final, you don't have a final grade right now. So just use your midterm grade here for now, okay? Because you're going to calculate your weighted average here in 9. Okay. And then your grades, your scores are going to go into X1, just like there was a calculated grade problem in the workbook, and that's in that Desmos link. So you can see how we did it there. And then the weights, oops, nope, sorry. Your grade here will be in X1 and the weights are Y1. So you'll want to put these weights, and don't worry about putting them as decimal, just use the whole 6, 12, 12, 12.5. And the same with your average grade. Now, yep, you're going to predict your score for exam 4. Oh, no, that's going to be for your final. This should say for your final exam, not exam 4. 11 says using your prediction from 10 and a 0 and 100. So, sorry, this should be your unit 4 project. I misspoke. Okay, so you're going to have a score that you're predicting your unit 4 project score, and then you're going to look at your worst case and best case scenario for your overall grades. So if you were to get a 0% for the final exam, then you have to average that right in this category, 0 plus your midterm divided by 2 to get your average here, and then you're going to find your overall weighted average, and then you're going to go back in and say, well, what if I got 100 on the final? Excuse me, and you're going to average your 100 with your midterm and change this category and then find your weighted average again. So you're going to find your weighted average up here with only your midterm in. Then in number 11, you're going to average your midterm with a 0 for your final and find the weighted average. And then you're going to average your midterm with 100% on the final and find your weighted average. Okay, and then number 11 or 12 says, based on your answer to 11, what is the best and worst grade you could earn for the course? And that's basically what you figured out in 11. So that is the 4.5 worksheet. Also, I wanted to go to the JetNet and just go over a few things with everyone. So the JetNet final exam, I decided to do my nighttime exam on Tuesday because I wanted to allow my Thursday evening to address any questions there. I am planning to do a review on this Thursday right here, Thursday 12/9. So let's just edit that. I'm planning to have reviews / let people finish up worksheets. And I'm thinking if I have time, hopefully I will make a video going through the unit 3 review and going through the unit 4 review, and I'll do them separately. And then that way those people can start reviewing whenever you'd like for that final exam. So the final exam, I just have it in the slot on Tuesday the 14th, but it really depends on what date and time you signed up for. And if you haven't done that yet, then I encourage you to go and find my link I sent in the email. And maybe I'll add that link right here too, so that people can find it easily. I moved the unit 4 project to be due on Thursday, 12/16. So if people take their final exam earlier in the week, you still have that day to finish that up. And also finishing up your Alex Pie. So as of Thursday, Friday morning, I will kind of be halting everything. If things weren't turned in, they aren't going to be counted. And I've been kind of warning people that I've been accepting late work, like sometimes a week or 2 after things have been turned in. I've been gracious about that, but you have to start getting things in time because I'm cutting it off. I have to get final grades in. So I wanted to let you know about that. But let's spend a few minutes and go through the unit 4 project. So I'm going to open that up, and it looks kind of overwhelming because there's a bunch of data sets. So let's just go open up the unit 4 project document and look at it here. I really want to highlight this. For full credit, you must either include the link to your Desmos work or handwrite your calculations. I cannot say the number of people that have not been using their monthly payment formula in the car problem, then in the house problem. And I started working on the, your taxes from your career. I started grading that one. And you got to show work. So if you're not showing work and you're not showing me that you actually use the formula and put in the numbers, I'm taking off. You're not going to get higher than a 40, or which would be an 80%, because that is what the unit is all about. So the same with unit 4, I need to see your work or your handwritten calculations. So either Desmos or handwork. Okay. So the first thing is you're going to create a sample. So I want you to choose one of the sampling methods that we learned about. And you're going to choose a sample of 25 salaries. And so you're going to go to the salary data. So notice here in your unit 4 project, everybody's going to use the salary data, and it's salaries from instructors at Jackson College. So you'll open that up and you are going to choose, I don't know what this is. Okay, sorry about that. You're going to choose out of all of these, let's see how many employees' salaries we have here. Taking a while to scroll down here. So there's 133 salaries. Now, some people, it's very, very small, and that's because there's people that maybe just taught like a single class or something like that. So you're going to somehow use one of those sampling methods to choose 25 of these salaries, and you're going to answer some questions. And so the questions that you are going to answer are here. You're going to calculate the mean, the median, and the mid-range and mode. So those 4 items from your sample. Okay. And then you're going to choose which is the best measure of average, just like I mentioned on page 453, how you're going to choose that. Sorry about that. Then you're going to calculate your measures of variation, which is from lesson 4.6, your range, standard deviation, and coefficient of variation. And then you're going to talk about how spread out the salaries are in your sample. Okay. Then I want you to calculate the population mean and variation for the salaries. So remember, the sample and the mean, or the sample and the population are a little bit different. And then you're going to use the correct symbols. And then the population is when you use everybody in the data set. Remember, so task 1 is only about using your 25 people that you pulled for your sample. And then task 2, excuse me, is using everybody in the data set. Then task 3, you are choosing a data set. So the other 4 data sets that are in the project, there's gasoline data, ground chuck or hamburger data, eggs data, and milk data. I want you to just choose one of those, okay? And you're going to use all the data in that data set. So I'm going to just pull one up here in a minute. With that one data set, I want you to find the mean and the standard deviation, and let me know that here. Excuse me. And then and it might not make sense now because we haven't done lesson 4.7 yet, but in 4.7, we're going to assume our data is normally distributed, and I want you to use the empirical rule. You're going to draw your curve, and you're going to fill that in. And then I want you to find the current price of whatever data set you chose. If you chose eggs, I want you to find the current price of a dozen eggs and put a picture into your project. And show me what it is. And then you're gonna use the mean and standard deviation to find the z-score of the price that you found. And you're going to interpret that z-score on question number 6. And so those data sets you can choose from. So if I were to choose the milk data, it's going to look something like this. Just one moment for it to open up. And I want you to use all of this milk data here to find your mean and your standard deviation. Okay, and so it's all of the milk prices for 12 months of the year from January of 2011 through October of 2021. And and we think milk is high, but really it was higher back in parts of 2014, 2015, which is actually pretty interesting. So Milk, maybe not affected so much, right, from the economy. But if we look at gas prices, the gas prices are a different story. The gas prices in 2011 were at $3.91, and I think they got up into the $3 and almost 70 cents just for a short while in 2014. And then it went way down from 2016. It was, January 2016, what, $1.97. Look how cheap gas was for the last 4 years until now. It's going back up. And this is a national average, don't forget. So it's definitely more by us sometimes, but this is a national average. Any questions over the project so far? So your weighted average for the grades most likely won't match within JetNet exactly because of a couple of things. You're averaging your unit 3 grade, and it's kind of taking all those straight up, so that might be finagling with it a little bit. And also you're estimating your unit 4 project grade, and you're probably estimating your final exam, so it's not going to match.